and welcome to Amazing Africans, the documentary series that spotlights the continent's most inspiring individuals and those with exceptional stories and records. I am Kelly Egiga here in Lagos, Nigeria. Today we capture the story of Professor Kingsley Ekwueme again. And that's because Professor Ekwueme has performed the first set of prostate robotic surgery with the Da Vinci robot, not just in Nigeria, but in sub-Saharan Africa. Let's get things started.
People say, what do you think about him? I said, I think he's God's gift to Nigeria, God's gift to humanity.
He's hugely ambitious, very hardworking, very driven, and will polish and perfect his skills. He's always talked about his homeland, Nigeria, and his love of Nigeria.
He's a professional in the first place, a young, intelligent, who is always update his knowledge. He has had so many successful, I can't start to count the number of people that have helped.
Every year, prostate cancer, a silent killer, affects thousands of Nigerian men. According to the Nigerian Cancer Society, prostate cancer accounts for 14% of all male cancers in Nigeria. Many men in Nigeria struggle to access diagnosis and treatment, often due to lack of awareness, stigma, or financial constraints. Meet Ben Alozie, a 62-year-old veteran print journalist who was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2022. He tells me his world turned upside down.
Indeed, I came back home. In fact, I lost sleep for days. I was struggling to sleep because at that time, what occupied my mind was not the good, but the bad, the ugly. Because of the stories and all things that I read about prostate cancer, in fact, cancer as a disease. Okay, I had this impression that it was a death sentence and nobody survives it. Okay, and that affected me for weeks. I was traumatized, but I didn't share the extent of my trauma with my wife because my wife is also emotionally fragile. I know her. So I tried to play, the strong man in the house. We continued. But what I did further was I devoted more time into research, trying to know more about this thing called prostate cancer. Why is it killing people? Why are people dying? What treatment options are available? I began to make researches. Every day I open my phone, I began to read. So only me knew what I was passing through. I didn't tell anyone. My wife didn't know this much, but all he knew that was that I had been diagnosed with prostate cancer.
After a long list of consultations and self-medication, Alozie faced a daunting decision: surgery.
I was convinced that the surgery was the best option. I had been to do some of the pre-surgery tests. The ECG had been there. I went to the lab. They told me that I needed to bring 4 patients who would donate 1 pint of blood each. I would need 4 pints of blood for the surgery. It was at that stage where I came back home. I was watching television. I was following news. That was where Incidentally, that was Channels Television News. I saw the news from the press conference of the very first laparoscopic surgery performed by Professor Kingsley Ekwueme and his team in Nigeria.
After meeting with Professor Kingsley Ekwueme, the renowned consultant urologist and robotic surgeon, the rest, they say, is history.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Blessing. How are you?
And speaking of history, it's a big day at the Prostate Clinic, Victoria Island, where Professor Kingsley Ekwueme will be performing Nigeria's first prostate robotic surgery. Next, Professor Ekwueme takes me to the Lady Caroline Theatre. But before entering the theatre department, it's important I change into scrubs, have suitable footwear, and wear an appropriate scrub cap. And the moment of truth arrives as Professor Ekwueme takes the reins, guiding the robotic arms with precision and skill. His expertise and precision will change the patient's life.
This is the Da Vinci robot. That's the state-of-the-art robot system. With the robot, you have 3 times magnification in 3D of vision unparalleled by anything that we've ever seen in surgery before. And with the robot, you have 7 degrees of freedom of movement. Means that the robot arms, as you can see behind me, has been designed to perform like a human arm with 7 degrees of freedom. And that means that you can reach any depth and have every maneuver 360 degrees and be able, with the magnification and the 3D image, to peel off all the nerves, the blood vessels. You could see today hardly any bleeding, and just by docking the robot through keyholes into the abdomen of the patient, we've been able to detach the prostate, save his nerves with minimal discomfort. So that's what the robot brings. It's about precision, it's cutting edge, and state of the art. And I'm really very pleased that we've been able to achieve that at the Prostate Clinic for the first time, and to pioneer the advancement of surgery for our country.
The cutting-edge robotic technology with world-class expertise for minimally invasive treatment has also attracted visits by the likes of the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who toured the facility recently.
This is the surgeon's console. This is where I still sit to operate. By moving the joysticks, the arms of the robot will be moving, father gloves,
And the operation will be
just sit behind it. Just sit from here. This console can also be in a different room. It doesn't have to be here. And you can operate from there. And the patient side mount, what actually is docked into the robot. What we're seeing here is 2D image. Yes, this is what human eye can see. But when you sit on the console, it's 3D and magnified times 3.
After you turn it upside down, if I want, place it as I want. Yeah. And you can
can raise this one up because you are taller than me. Yeah? And you can also move the index. And look at the shape of the instrument. It's flashing now, telling me it's ready for me to move. So watch it, I move it, it will stop at the exact point. And it will go blue to tell me that that's the exact point. If I take out, see the point?
The facility, it's incredible. You will not believe what I've just witnessed here at this seemingly very quiet, clinic called the Prostate Clinic. When we talk about, bringing back all of the learning and all of the lessons from abroad, and you come and domesticate everything back here, this place is a clear demonstration of what can happen. And coming here, we'll always hear about robotic prostate surgery, to now have it resident here in Lagos and to be operated by a Nigerian, right? I think it's phenomenal. It just goes to show that, when we apply our minds to things, there's nothing that is impossible for us. And so having gone around this place, first really is to commend the visionary, the urologist himself, the chair, Professor Ekwueme. Not only would we commend his professional, skills and expertise, we also need to commend his, his dedication and commitment to the country. This is not a small investment. This is not a small funding requirement, that he has put, forward. But it is a demonstration of believing in your own country, in your own people. To say that whatever it is that has been challenging, the black men, because prostate is more bigger than the black men, right? Nigerians of the diaspora extract can come home and solve the problem for us. So when I heard about it, which was a couple of months ago, and I've seen it, and I got interested, and my friends mentioned it to me that he will be coming, and I said I would want to come and have a look for myself. Going through that facility, you could see that is the highest level of technology, completely evasive, and you saw a patient that was operated on already eating full Nigerian meal with a full restoration of every organ of his. I think it's incredible. So we're not just, medicine is not about just marketing. No, for me, it is a solution that has been birthed here. It's a solution that a whole lot of men don't want to talk about, a whole lot of things that are happening to us that we don't share. We have found a solution, and a solution that will ensure that you miss nothing, right? And it was deliberate that he has named this place a clinic. So it's not a place where you want to come and stay for 1 week. There's no space. You come in on time, right? You have your time in the theater, and by the next day you're out to go and fully recover with your family. So this is what we want. This is what a lot of Nigerians want to go abroad to do. And so I'm also here so that we can use his own skills and his expertise to be able to also replicate in a no distant future in public hospital, so that over time we can reduce the total costs of interventions like this. Because that's the whole idea, because it will be expensive, but we can reduce once you see economic of scale, right? We can and they can continue to train and retrain our people and ensure that they have a reason to stay back. Let us continue to patronize ourselves. Cancer in whatever form also, it's a very serious ailment, and we're beginning to see solutions, here in our country, especially here in Lagos.
Professor Ekwueme's pioneering work in robotic surgery marks a new era in Nigeria's healthcare, and the testimonials are already pouring in.
Every time people meet him for the first time, they're surprised that this very humble man is the man that has achieved so much. Very humble man, extremely hardworking. Kingsley carries out 2-3 operations every day, some lasting 4 or 5 hours, and all very successful. He's a very hard-working man, very honest, very, very honest man. I'll give you a situation. He had a visual clinic with a gentleman, and at that point it appeared that he required a surgery, and the man was so anxious to have this operation done because Kingsley was only in country for 3 days. And thinking that he will convince Kingsley to operate on him, he immediately sent the entire cost of the surgery to Kingsley. And he was to visit Kingsley a day before the surgery. And when Kingsley performed a physical examination on him, he realized that he only needed some drugs to solve his problem. He said to him, "Sir, you don't need the surgery." Sent him his money back. Quite a large sum of money, which some people have been tempted to say, okay, we know what they call open and close. They go in there and say, okay, I've performed the surgery. But this is the nature of Kingsley, very honest man. We, his friends and members of his team, are so glad to have an honest and hard-working man like Professor Kingsley Ekwueme.
Everything about him brings good memories, to my mind. But what I can tell you about Professor Kingsley Ekwueme is that no hurdle can stand in his way towards doing great things. He's a man I know who always thinks of great things. I've said it before that even having lunch with him is like going to a lecture, because he's so focused and he's very, laser focused actually in doing great things. The important thing to understand about Professor Kingsley Ekwueme is that he sees the medical profession as a calling, not just a profession or a way of making money. He does not. He sees it like a gift that God has given him to do good in this world. And that is one element of his character that I would like the younger ones to imbibe. Because that drives you, that will help drive you through all difficulties. Because when you see things the way he sees it, as a special calling to provide solution for the world, then nothing can stand in between you and success.
As the first clinic of its kind in Nigeria and indeed West Africa, the Prostate Clinic focuses on providing safe and evidence-based treatment for prostate cancer, but there is more.
I started doing research in prostate cancer in the UK during my training in 2005. And it took about 5 years for me to conclude the research in prostate cancer. My majors were in actually translational medicine, and I was looking at particularly into prostate cancer diagnosis and trying to find better ways of achieving a diagnosis using minimally invasive techniques. And that went on, to get me a doctorate at the University of Liverpool. So, but throughout that period, I've always been thinking about how to do this robotic surgery. So I went into robotics shortly afterwards in 2010. And not just robotic surgery, I was also interested in laparoscopic at the time. And I trained, and it wasn't always that easy, to do this kind of complicated training, and then I won a prize, a scholarship prize, and decided to go to Paris to further enhance my robotic anatomy understanding of where I wanted to take the surgery to, because I had some techniques that I wanted to bring into the whole equation, and I had to go and fine-tune sort of that technique. And then you know, when I established robotic surgery in the UK, I was appointed to North Wales to do that, and I set up robotic surgery in that part of the UK. But immediately afterwards, I was always thinking of how to bring robotic surgery to my country. Particularly because you know, I was lucky to treat a few prominent Nigerians who could afford to come to the UK to have this type of surgery. But I thought that, you know, this should be available to everybody in my country, in Nigeria, who can't afford to travel to the UK to have this kind of surgery performed. And so it's always been the dream, and I started intensifying the dream. But there were delays because shortly the pandemic hit, and that was in 2020. But that didn't stop me. I had to come to Nigeria in 2022 to perform the series of laparoscopic surgery for prostate cancer. And since then, I've done, you know, nearly 200 of those, you know, for my people here in Nigeria. And then finally the robot and the dream came to you know, to fruition, and I was able to get the robot down to Nigeria. Of course, it's very complicated, not easy, but you know, I believed in it. I believed that it's something that I have to do. And I put in everything that I got, you know, in my life to do it.
Professor Ekwueme is driven, ambitious, intelligent, a taskmaster. He's a perfectionist, and when he does something, he'll do it to the best of his ability. And for the patients, it's really good, because they're in really, really good hands. It's good, it's rewarding, it's challenging. He expects a high standard, and I have to deliver, you know, so, but it's rewarding at the end of the day.
Coming into the prostate clinic, we expect that all our patients feel at home, you know, because the patient flow is easy. Our rooms are very cozy, you know, the environment is calm, serene. I mean, it's second to none. You walk into this place and you feel like, okay, I'm not sick, you know, I'm at home. The staff are very friendly, at least we've made sure of that. The nurses are always on your case. They're with you per time, making sure that everything is all right.
And what's the level of awareness in Nigeria?
There's some example I tell people, I own up to two things that probably aided my own case. What I mean, that caused my own case being cancerous. Ignorance and negligence. These are two, I own them up. It is about me. And I wish men out there, they don't do the same mistakes. Seek to know. Some of them do not know that this thing, they say, waiting concern me, they go pee. Yes. In the course of time, I have now also got to learn from the professional that some of the cases are asymptomatic. You may not know until it gets to a stage, a very dangerous stage. Yes. Because people will say our body different. So that is it. I think something has to be done. And now that from the stage of radical surgery to laparoscopy, now we have robotic surgery added to it in this country. Wow, that's the game changer.
But there is hope, as early detection, treatment and support can save lives.
If you look at prostate cancer as a whole, about 10% of prostate cancer are hereditary. And in those cases, when you have a family history of prostate cancer, they tend to occur in younger men than the average population. So if you have a first-degree relative with prostate cancer, then you're more likely to have prostate cancer 3 times more likely than the average population. In addition, you're likely to develop it 7 years earlier than the normal population. The peak age for prostate cancer is between 60 to 65 years. And that's why, we're beginning to look at clusters of prostate cancer within the family. If a man has a family history of prostate cancer, he needs to begin to check his blood test, the PSA, the prostate-specific antigen. He needs to do that. In fact, it's mandatory for the man. If you're going through this, if you keep it and your neighbor dies of it, I don't know of what benefit it is. Some people can help. So I will only encourage people to help in that respect. It certainly will help my mission in Nigeria to have men coming out to say, I've been treated, I've been cured, I'm fine, okay, and I'm functionally fine. Some have come out after the treatment with me, but it's only voluntary. What we do is strictly confidential, and it's the choice of the patient to be able to disclose should they wish to do that.
Prostate cancer awareness is key, but it's time for Nigerian men to break the silence. Take control of your health and know your status. Let's work together to reduce the burden of this disease in Nigeria and the continent. What a moment for Africa's healthcare landscape. Professor Kingsley Ekwueme is redefining the healthcare sector here in Nigeria and the continent. And his inspiring story does it for us on this episode of the program. But you can follow us across all social media platforms and get to keep a date with us. I am Kelly Egiga, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.